What golden nugget of information do you have to share? Monkeys have a very distinct way of wanking off, and yes, they do wank themselves, which, in contrast to normal human male way of forming a tube with their hands, creates a shovel with their hand and cup their genitalia from under, and repeatedly rub it. I don't watch monkeys jack off, I just saw it in a documentary. Edit, I really don't. Edit, this is like 4 days old. How are you finding this TF? And stop telling me I watch monkeys jack off. I don't have links to monkey porn. Nope, you can't lie. I'm sure you watch monkeys jack off, that's suspiciously specific. If you don't have a toilet plunger and you've clogged it up, pour in a bit of dish soap and some hot water, the hotter the better. Let stand for 15 minutes and flush. Learned this when immediately upon arriving at our hotel, my 8-year-old clogged up our toilet and I googled. Found this gem, realized I'd packed a tiny travel bottle of dish soap, warmed water up in the microwave, and lo and behold, it worked. I still use it sometimes at home when I don't wanna be grossed out by plunging. Yes, my child has a tendency to clog toilets. So there ya go. The real mystery here is why you brought dish soap on vacation. X% of Y is the same as Y% of X. So if you're struggling to find 26% of 50, maybe 50% of 26, 13 is much easier to do quickly. I have some words for my 6th grade math teacher. Horses have a massive blind spot on the front and back of their body. If you are ever around a tame horse, keep a hand on their body while walking around them. This lets it know where you are at all times and decreases chances of kicking out of shock or fear. This also prevents them from kicking you with as much force. You need to stay very close to them for the full benefit. This is similar with goats, as they instinctively fight things coming head on and should be approached from the sides. Also, ears are the gateway to a horse's feelings. Pinned back ears indicates an anxious or angered horse. Pinned straight up indicates curiosity and focus. If your older parents/grandparents are suddenly acting strange, get them checked for a UT. In older people, UTIs can cause a psychotic or delusional episode. What are the chances my parents have both had UTIs for 20 years? Even though you have a VPN, it doesn't necessarily keep you hidden. If skilled people wanted to find you, there are many things that can leak your IP that you have to isolate and fix, such as IPv6 leaks, DNS leaks, and WebRTC leaks. Also, every ad you add to your browser, it gives you a unique fingerprint that can lead back to you. You're not as secure as you think. Joke's on you. I used incognito mode. Hackerman intensifies. At the beginning of every relationship, agree to assume positive intent. Talk about it often. Don't forget about it, and make it the most important rule. Fights will be less, empathy will be greater, and your relationship will be stronger. I told my wife from the very start of our relationship, if I say something, that can be taken 2 ways, and one of those ways makes you angry or sad, I meant the other one. A scorpion can hold its breath for 6 days, so don't think drowning it will help you out of your scorpion problem. Foreign garment to be labeled made in USA, the process only needs to be started and finished in America. In the case of a certain ladies underwear line, the material is cut in USA, shipped overseas for assembly, then shipped back to America, where a seamstress sews a made in USA tag on the item. Source/underwear factory worker. It's crazy how it's cheaper to send clothing across the world to be assembled than it is to just do it domestically. Planet Money on NPR did a fascinating episode on the makings of a shirt and its travels around the world from start to finish. The first president of Zimbabwe was President Banana. It was also illegal to joke about his name in Zimbabwe, so the foreign press used to joke about his name more. If you were caught though, you were locked up with no chance for appeal. Airline ops guy here. If you check in a bag at an airport with an hour or less before departure, it has a 50/50 shot of making it on a plane. Just like that saline, bag security can back up too. I regularly see 30+ minute in screening statuses on bags. Then, it may be pulled for a hand screening and search. This is random and ZA doesn't care when the flight leaves. So now we are at about 25 minutes to departure and your bag has only just now entered the sort system. It will take another 5 to 10 minutes to sort out to the person who loads carts with bags. Here, the problem is that there may be 7 to 10 other flights coming off of the same conveyor belt. They have to see your bag's tag out of maybe 50 other bags, so let's assume another 5 minutes. Your flight's bag cart was delivered plane side at an hour before departure. It is now 15 minutes to departure. The bag room has seen your bag and has it on the back of a tug racing to the plane 7 minutes before departure. The baggage compartments are closed and total weights are being submitted. Your bag has missed the airplane. TL. Doctor, please check in more than an hour before your flight if checking a bag, or else it might not make it on the plane. The earth wobbles really slowly like a spinning top. It takes about 26,000 years to come full circle. In the process, the northern star changes. This is called precession. It's one of 3 major changes in Earth's movements which are a part of the Milankovitch cycle. Precession occurs 26,000 years, eccentricity occurs 125,000 years, obliquity occurs 41,000 years. These cycles all have effects on Earth's climate. For more information, just search Milankovitch cycles. When looking at renting a car, hotel room, etc., type in your company's name, discount code, vendor in Google. X, Wells Fargo Hertz discount code. You can get better rates on these items usually. I had a heart transplant 5 years ago. When your heart is replaced, the surgeon has to cut the main nerve that gets the signal from the brain to beat and or increase the intensity of the beat. Without this vagus nerve, your new heart has no regulation and pumps blood out of habit. You no longer have a fight or flight response and your new heart beats at 90 plus beats a minute. The vagus nerve slows the heart. Epinephrine in your bloodstream, released from your adrenal glands in a fight or flight situation, can still speed it up, though. Also, congratulations on your new heart. I hope you have a great life. Never miss a chance to piss. This is always my go-to. I had a choir practice in a group of 200 plus people, and I sat right in the middle where there was no legroom to leave. Right before the rehearsal, I thought I should use the restroom. Then, I thought, nah, I'm good. 3.5 hours later, I'm sweating, nearly crying because I have to go so bad. I prayed so hard for my bladder to be sustained. I was finally able to waddle to a toilet and had a moment of pure ecstasy. Summary: never pass up the chance to use the restroom. That a strong sense of doom is a medically recognized and majority common precursor to having a heart attack. Here I'm waiting for my heart attack for the 8th year. Edit. As someone mentioned, there is a difference between dread and doom. A single spaghetti noodle is called a spaghetto. I thought a spaghetto was a place where poor Italians lived on a cold and great Chicago morn. Another baby Italian is born in spaghetto. Speaking of golden nuggets of information to share, goldfish lose their color if they are kept in dim light or are placed in a body of running water, such as a stream. Also, goldfish actually get very large and live for a very long time, but most people don't care for them properly and end up suffocating them in ammonia. Yep. We kept goldfish in a huge water tank for our horses, and they lived for like 12 years and got huge. Edit. For those who are curious, the fish were put in the tank to eat the algae and mosquito larvae that can accumulate in large tanks. There are bronze statues of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, donated by their comics co-creator and university alum Peter Laird. Recent grad from UMass. Really wish someone had mentioned this before. The concept of 3 square meals a day is a diet designed for people working physical labor in the early 1900s. Quality of diet and sticking to daily calorie limits is the only part that really matters. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter what time you eat. Although the 3 square meals model is indeed advantageous for day-long maintenance of energy levels. Basically, it's better to just eat when you're hungry than force yourself to eat when you should, so long as you're getting the proper nutrients, etc. The term square meal comes from the British Navy, where plates were square with raised edges to stop food spilling in rough seas. The Outer Bridge Crossing is a bridge that connects Staten Island, New York to Perth Amboy, New Jersey. You probably think it was named that because it's the outermost bridge in New York City. Wrong. It's named after Eugenius Harvey Outerbridge. Wait, is Eugenius a real name? That's amazing. I'm calling my kid that now, so whenever he does something stupid I can go, gee, nice one you genius. In the 90s there was a Scottish indie band named Captain America, which was renamed Eugenius following a cease and desist letter from Marvel Comics. Newly registered nurse working on a hematology ward and learned that stem cells smell like sweet corn. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes, award and heaps of useful info. Mentioned by a few in the thread. I believe it's the preservative solution that they are kept in that smells and not the actual cells themselves. My colleague also mentioned this when I asked about the smell. But thank you all for a very interesting thread. Most people replace their computer or run them into the ground when they get hot and slow, when in reality new thermal compound and a solid state drive upgrade can fix both problems and increase its lifespan for about $35 to $50 and isn't incredibly hard to DIY in most cases. It's 100 times better to break up when you're in a shit relationship than trying to fix it up for the nth time. In Germany we have a saying that would translate to, it's better to have it end in terror instead of having terror without end. I work front desk at a hotel. I've seen this before, so I hope it's new to someone. Don't use sites like Expedia etc. If you book directly with the hotel you can always call to make changes. If you need to cancel you can avoid the 24-hour window fee by changing your reservation to a few days later. Then call back the next day to cancel. Third-party booking sites are not easy to change info. We cannot change the rate if something needs to be fixed and you are looked down upon and get whatever basic rooms are available. Not by me personally but everyone around me. If you need to cancel you can avoid the 24-hour window fee by changing your reservation to a few days later. I have heard this tip so many times and it's never worked for me. The hotels have always charged me a night's penalty for late changes. Even when I was in the hospital I had to submit proof to get them to refund the fee. The grey rock treatment is an incredibly useful method of dealing with narcissists and toxic people. If such a person is going at you verbally or behaviorally, screaming or posturing or trying to fight, become like a grey rock in a river. No reaction, don't answer, no movement, just sit calmly and let the stream of crazy flow past you. Bonus points if you can stare blankly. When people thrive on causing a reaction, they absolutely cannot compute when they get no reaction. If you're in physical danger obviously react to keep yourself safe but don't argue, explain, or defend verbally. You'll never change a narcissist's mind. It's just walking on a treadmill. Obviously not foolproof. Keep yourself safe first and foremost. Edit. OMG. Thanks for the awards. I'm very humbled. Edit #2. So many people have correctly pointed out that with people prone to physical violence, grey rocking can make them angry enough to escalate. Please evaluate your situation and the abusive party and use whatever tools are necessary to protect yourself. I accidentally discovered this a couple of days ago. I work in healthcare and for the past several weeks we've had an increasing number of people frustrated with the pandemic, complaining about wearing a mask, being allowed to go some places but not others, etc. I had tried to explain flattening the curve, keeping numbers in the IQ manageable, using logic and science to explain the why behind the stay-at-home orders. I convinced exactly 0 people and only aggravated myself. Yesterday I was just tired, so when patients came in complaining about the situation I just didn't say anything and let them vent their spleen. Eventually they stopped talking and changed the subject on their own. If you ever have a baseball bat and need to use it as a weapon, put a sock over it so if someone tries to disarm you, they just slide off the sock. Time out, time out, time out. I need to run home to get a sock first apparently. Please wait here. I'll be right back. If you carry a baseball bat in your vehicle for self-defense, also carry a baseball glove. Even if you don't play baseball, your lawyer will appreciate it. Till put a sock on my baseball bat and carry a baseball glove as well. Why the sock? So when someone tries to grab the bat out of your hands they just pull away with a tube sock and you can continue beating them. For added bonus the right combo of tube sock and stocking can give you 2 grabs instead of just 1. Happy beating. Each one of the Yamato class battleship's main gun turrets weighed over 3,000 tons, heavier than the average US destroyer. If you were on a destroyer in the US Navy during World War II, you ran the risk of having to fight a ship whose primary weapons alone displace more weight than your entire vessel. And the reason for this is that the Japanese Navy had heavy restrictions from the West on how big their navy could be before the start of WW2. So to compensate for this, they built the biggest battleships the world had ever seen. People often underestimate how big a billion actually is. An easy way to conceptualize it is to think of it in terms of seconds. 1 million seconds ago was 12 days ago. 1 billion seconds ago was 1987. What's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion? About a billion. There are about 60,000 characters in the Mandarin language. A very literate person will know 20,000. The average person from 5,000 to 10,000. If uneducated, around 3,000. I met a German girl who had studied Mandarin in university. She said she knew about 6,000 characters, which was about enough for her to read the newspaper. Which one? The German paper. Peanuts are not nuts. They are legumes and they grow out of the ground like potatoes. Nuts and drupes typically grow on trees and or are the seeds of fruits. You can be allergic to tree nuts and not be to peanuts and vice versa. Peanuts and potatoes work pretty differently. Potatoes are tubers. They grow off of the root system. Peanuts are homologous to peas or beans. The plant grows flowers above ground like a normal legume, but then sends a shoot into the ground that develops into the peanut. Seasonal allergies are almost entirely man-made ailments. When planting landscaping trees and bushes in the 50s and 60s, people didn't want to use female trees as they didn't want fruit to fall on streets and on people's cars, so they opted for almost entirely male trees, thus drastically increasing the pollen output. Spiders only bite when they feel cornered and or harassed in their home. I highly advise against this because it's just dumb, but you could actually handle any spider you see roaming around without getting bit. This goes from the tiny jumping spider to the largest Goliath bird eater. Don't do it. They are itchy. The only exception to this is the Brazilian boner spider. Is the Brazilian boner spider the one that gives you a boner for, like, 4 hours? Depends if spiders are your thing. Even if you aren't willing to give mouth to mouth on an unconscious person, chest compressions alone greatly increase their odds of survival. In case others wondered why, the circulatory system will still have trace amounts of oxygen that can be circulated to the brain via compression, which can make the difference. Edit. A few have mentioned that a non-insignificant amount of oxygenated blood can be present at moment of arrest, a stronger case for compressions. Also because chest compressions naturally push air in and out of your lungs if you're doing them right. On the timeline of human history, the ancient Egyptians lived as close to the ancient Romans as the ancient Romans lived to us today. The reason that they did not teach about the Aztec Empire for Oxford's first few hundred years was twofold. The Americas had not been discovered, and the Aztec Empire had not been founded. That's the exact same reason the local junior college doesn't have the Mars colony in their curriculum yet. Semen washes off best with cool water. Using hot water can cause the proteins to denature and makes it stickier. So for all of you who fap in the shower, this is why your jizz turns into the sticky/slightly more firm wad of super glue stuck to your hand when you try to rinse it off. Don't buy French bulldogs. They're a fad breed that was sick to begin with, and so many people are being scammed by backyard breeders and puppy farms. They're depressingly broken. If you do buy one, even from an official breeder, be prepared for allergies, ocular bleeding from eye pressure, hip dysplasia, cheery eye, trachea collapse, twisted spine and dreadful breathing problems. They are expensive. Too many teen girls buy them and can't afford the allergy meds and food and just leave them to suffer. One visited the clinic last week, collapsed and died because of an extra long walk in the sunshines. Don't do it. Let this breed disappear and buy a dog with a nose, please.